Luku, to tell you about some important information that Maui Alert investigates and the Truth for Lahaina campaign has now exclusively uncovered for Maui Alert News. This relates to activity that happened not only on the day of the fire in Lahaina, but the day before the fire. Maui Alert has obtained documents that shows the timeline of events between the mayor's office and former emergency management director Herman Andaya. You might remember that name, Andaya, because he was the one that was the center of controversy, took so much blame for not sounding those sirens, the hurricane warning alerts that were in Lahaina on the day of the fire. He ultimately resigned a couple of days, several days after the fire, a couple days after his news conference in which he said that he had no regrets for not activating those sirens. Well, now Maui Alert has learned that there was a scheduled meeting between the mayor's office and Andaya. That is information that we've obtained from Andaya's personal calendar. That meeting was scheduled on the day before the fire, August 7th. That day is critical because not only was there a meeting scheduled, but what was going on during that day. This was a day where they already had a red flag warning in place from the National Weather Service saying extreme fire danger for the island. And not only that, they were predicting high winds that we ultimately saw. The prediction was up to 65 miles an hour in the Lahaina area. Despite all of that, Herman Andaya, later that evening, the records show, went to Oahu. We're talking late in the evening. Went to Oahu. So the questions become, what did the mayor know about Herman's decision, Mr. Andaya's decision to leave the island and go to Oahu under those circumstances? What kind of discussions did they have about preparations? And frankly, did the mayor do enough to prepare the island with such an imminent threat that was already upon the island, and the emergency management director saying he was going to leave the island? Those are big questions. The mayor has declined to answer those questions, will not take questions about this topic at all. Maui Alert has tried several times to get the mayor to respond to these questions and find out what that meeting was all about, whether they talked about this, what kind of actions the mayor took in response to all that. But nonetheless, like I said, Andaya winds up leaving the island around 6 o'clock that evening.
Hey there, Patriots. This is Trotlo Patriot coming at you with another one. I just paused the video feed right now. I'll play it in a second. What I'm playing here is a clip that came out yesterday by Maui Alert Live about new information that's come out where the situation with Maui, the fire that happened, is beginning to be more and more suspect. Okay, something that should not surprise anybody, but like I've been saying, that, you know, the truth is going to come out eventually, and it's been coming out more and more and more, even though the mayor and the governor and the powers that be keep trying to skirt away from answering questions and stuff like that, the tough questions like you're hearing right now. So before I continue, I just want to thank all my new subscribers and all my subscribers here on YouTube and on Rumble. I'm actually 48 subscribers shy of 500, which is my goal. Hopefully I can get that in the next day or so and then move on from there. But if you also want to help support the channel, there's a link in my description to my Cash App and PayPal and my merch store with my first t-shirt. So don't forget to comment, like, share, subscribe, and pass this around. I'm gonna finish playing this one, okay, I'm gonna try not to interrupt if I don't have to, but I also have two more clips to show you. One of them is very important, and it's something that came to my attention a while ago, but I can never track down the video again because it came so fast, and it was something that stood on my mind, and I just want everybody to see it and just have an open mind, okay, with the video I want to show you. But without further ado, let's finish this off, and then we'll move on to the next one. Let's go.
And does not come back to the island, despite the early morning evacuation notices that were already in effect the very next morning, August 8th, the day of the fire, all throughout the day with the fires, does not come back until the 9th. That is something that also needs to be questioned about what the mayor knew about that and whether the mayor was instructing Andaya to return.
Okay, in case anybody didn't catch it, Andaya, that was in charge of the sirens, basically what they're saying that he left the island. Okay, he left Lahaina and went somewhere else, knowing very well that the day before, which would be I'm guessing August 7th, that they had a meeting, knowing of the potential fire threat and the high winds that were coming and what kind of damage it could have caused. So fast forward to the next day, the 8th, when all these fires had started, which was early. It wasn't in the middle of the night like Andaya and everybody else was trying to claim. Again, like I've been saying in a lot of my videos on this topic, and I apologize for not doing any videos on Maui lately, the past couple of weeks. But, you know, I have to sit back and watch more information come out and try to, you know, put things together to see who's saying what. So now we know that that he had more than enough time, Andaya, and so the mayor and the governor, the police chief and the fire chief, and whoever else was involved, they had plenty of time to evacuate the island. Okay, they knew the day before the fire started what was potentially going to take place, and instead of them coordinating, okay, and say, you know what, let's start an evacuation early, August 8th, no, they decided to let it ride, okay, and then lie about it. But the very next day is when Andaya showed up, okay, which was the 9th, I believe, when they had that press conference, and he said that they were afraid to turn on the sirens because, you know, that the people wouldn't know what was coming in the middle of the night. But all the proof shows that that was a lie, because the fires were on way before noon on the 8th. They had started. Okay, and in a lot of my videos, I've showed you that video clip, and then they said that the fire jumped the highway. I showed you that video also, that it did not jump the highway. The video I showed actually shows that there's a concrete partition, there's no fire on the left side of the road, and then all of a sudden a fire starts up on the right side of the road. Okay, so the more and more that they lie and they contradict themselves, especially right now that the mayor doesn't want to answer any of these questions, it just leaves people to believe that all this is suspect. And in my opinion, I've been saying it from the beginning, I don't believe that this had anything to do specifically 100% with Mother Nature. Okay, so now all this information is coming out, and once again, the mayor, like the thug that he is going to try to skirt away from answering questions, you know. So we can only assume that in that report, I would think that more names are going to come out of who knew. And if I had to guess, I can almost bet that 3 more people that knew would have been the governor, the police chief, and the fire chief. But let's continue.
Questions there, outstanding, the mayor will not answer, but do deserve to be answered. And not only that, there are questions about who had the authority to actually activate the notifications. There were questions at the time whether the county was going to allow one of Andaya's subordinates the decision power to make those emergency warnings. They wound up ultimately allowing this gentleman that worked in Andaya's office to do that, but Maui Alert Investigates has now also exclusively learned which warnings the Emergency Management Office actually sent out. And this timeline is also tragically key, because we've learned that the fire started around 2:50 in the afternoon, that second fire, but the Emergency Management Office did not send out the first notification for evacuation in a limited area for nearly an hour and a half later. So.
Okay, I'm going to pause it real quick again, and I know I said I'm going to try not to do much. Now, I'm not disagreeing with what he said about the timeline on his part, but the videos that I've showed, and there's a lot of video out there by other people who were there videotaping themselves, the timestamps start from a lot of the fires about anywhere between 11 and 1 o'clock. As a matter of fact, one of the timestamps, one of the videos that I put out is of 2 guys that are driving on the highway, and their timestamp, I believe, was about 1:45. if I remember correctly, or where that fire started on the right side of the highway, which was going towards Lahaina. So I'm not disagreeing with him. I just think that they should go all the way back to the point where they supposedly, the powers that be are saying that the fire jumped the highway and started going towards West Maui and Lahaina. So that's just my input on this. But let's continue.
It was about 4:16 around that time when they sent out that first notification. Now, you can read all about this, by the way, on MauiAlert.com. We got the full story posted there. Did want to bring this to your attention because it is key that you read this material if you're at all interested or impacted by the fire. It raises important questions, answers some of these issues, such as when did they notify the public about evacuations? Well, like I said, that first emergency notification didn't come for a full hour and a half after the first fire started. And by that point, things were already heavily burning in Lahaina. We have gone through the records that show there were calls for help. People needed to be evacuated even before that. Police were evacuating folks on a street-by-street, house-by-house level in certain areas, but there was no wide call from that emergency alert system to evacuate people. The fire had already jumped the highway long before the emergency alert went out. So big questions about that as well. Who was at the wheel there? Again, what the mayor was doing to oversee this situation, also a major question here that just frankly deserves to be answered, and we have not been able to get answers to that either. Now, beyond all of that, the next notification, the only other notification that went out in the Lahaina area, didn't come until 8 p.m. in the evening. That was the other subdivision that burned just to the north of the Lahaina bypass.
Now, one more time, I'm going to cut it. When that alert went out, it was already too late. As a matter of fact, if anybody remembers, and this is by Bison himself, on video, telling people, I believe it was around 4:30 or so, something like that, where he was saying that the roads to Lahaina were open because everything was clear. So it's like, if you knew that this fire was raging and I wasn't on the island, okay, you knew the day before of the potential threat, why would you go on the radio, on TV, and start telling people that the roads are clear going back into Lahaina, that everything was fine? You know, I've been saying it for the longest, and a lot of people, are saying it also. And you can't call this a conspiracy, because if you just look at it, you have to just look at it straight face and say, wait a minute, none of this makes sense. It almost seems as if they were trying to corral everybody into Lahaina. Okay? With all this information, and now this that's coming out, and Bison won't talk about it, he has no comment about it. He is the mayor. He was elected by the people. Shame on him for not wanting to answer any questions. Never mind one question or two or 1,000. He should answer every single question. This is not a military campaign where he has to hold military secrets of what's going on. No, this is a fire, a disaster that took place. Okay, so there should be no secrets. There should be no questions unanswered. If there should be nothing to hide, plain and simple. But that's all they keep doing. They keep lying and they keep hiding things. And this is why more and more information is coming out. This was a major catastrophe, and they keep trying to cover up. It's not even about key evidence, because it's not like they caught somebody starting a fire. They are trying to cover something up, and it's almost as if they wanted this to happen. But let's continue.
So those two notifications, the only ones that went out. No notifications to Front Street, no notifications to some of the other areas that were sadly highly impacted and did have loss of life. Why? Again, we would like to ask the mayor that. Again, no response from the mayor's office. However, we can tell you that in addition to none of those alerts going out, remind folks that, a lot of people say that they didn't have cell service and so on. So it's not entirely clear that when that cell service would have gone out. It does seem likely that at least some of the cell service was disabled due to the fire itself. So had those notices gone out early enough, it is entirely possible that they could have reached people and more people could have survived.
Okay, this is the way I see it. Okay, about as far as like people getting alerts on their phone, stuff like that. That's something that a lot of people complained about, and it's like that they don't have answers for that either. Now I understand the information he's getting is that some of the cell service towers and stuff they may have, they say they went down because of the fire, but I find that it contradicts itself. It contradicts itself for the simple fact that people were recording before that fire was in full force. People were recording on their phones. People were making phone calls. Okay? But then a lot of people were saying, okay, and if you look for the information out there, you'll find it, that a lot of their phones didn't work. So I understand that some people's phones didn't work, but there were plenty of people, okay, which means that I don't know how many cell phone carriers are in Hawaii, but last I checked, even though a lot of this, the phone signals go to a satellite and come back down, the people that have phone service, why didn't they get any alerts? And the only answer to that is there was no alerts sent at all. Where they could have sent the alerts. They could have sent the alerts first thing in the morning if they had the meeting the day before. But they didn't. And these are questions that need to be answered. And Bison is being a coward, and he's being grimy, in my opinion, by not wanting to answer any of these questions. But let's continue.
However, we would like to hear more from the people in charge of all of this to answer these sorts of questions. Andaya, of course, has resigned, has not answered questions since.
Yeah, very convenient and suspect.
And beyond that, the mayor has been highly criticized, not by just Maui Alert, but really other media as well in Honolulu and nationally, saying that he just will not answer questions about his whereabouts during some of this. The mayor did issue that sort of dressed up version of timeline, but it does not at all address any of these things
exactly
that I'm talking about. That timeline, he released a video without taking questions. I think that was back in September after he suffered a suffered a withering round of criticism for not knowing what was going on the day of the fire, not explaining his whereabouts and so forth. This just adds to those questions. So big.
Just a quick side note. Now they're saying that Andaya wasn't on the island. Okay, Bison also, they're trying to find out where he was at. He wasn't there. The governor supposedly wasn't there either. But yet they had a meeting the day before, knowing of this potential threat. If that in itself right there doesn't deserve a congressional investigation by the government, okay, by people in Congress, I mean, it just blows my mind that nobody in Congress, and maybe they have, I haven't seen it, but this should be all over Congress. There should be a major investigation by the government. I just find it incredible that there's not. But let's continue.
Questions here. Really important that you read about this. Again, this is information that Maui Alert obtained through a public records request and the litigation that we initiated. The county did not want to provide this information, didn't do so for many months, and in our estimation, violated the law on many counts with regard to not releasing the information in a timely manner. Still hasn't released all the information that we requested from it. Our litigation continues, but you understand now the importance of these public records, what they mean to the community, and your understanding of what happened here and why Maui Alert has fought so hard on the Truth for Lahaina campaign to get those records. So we definitely want to ask you to support us in the Truth for Lahaina campaign. There are ways to support us. You can send us a donation. You can do whatever you feel is right to help us fight for you to get this information. We will have more information coming out, including a very important story coming up later this week about alleged police misconduct against reporters in the pursuit of getting answers about what the police department and others were doing on that day. One constitutional lawyer, I should say, calls this shocking. And so we will have much more on all that. You definitely want to stay tuned to Maui Alert this week with all of our exclusive reporting. You just have to watch it if you care at all about what was going on in Lahaina, and frankly what the people that work right there are still doing, and the questions they are still essentially declining to answer. If you care about any of that stuff, you really do need to pay attention to Maui Alert this week, because we'll have a lot more on both topics coming up very soon. That's it for now, everybody. We'll see you.
Okay, I'm going to pause it there. I'm going to leave a link in the description to this so you guys can keep up on that. And the other two videos I'm going to show you right now, I'm going to leave a link also. Both of them are by from Hawaii Real Estate. Now, just quickly what he said about the police misconduct. I've said that a lot. As a matter of fact, Hawaii Real Estate, he put out a video of the way the cops were treating him when he pulled up on the side of the road. This was a days or maybe a month or so after the fire, trying to get information where he was actually videotaping a car that was on the side of the road, and it was just basically melted, burnt to a cinder and melted. I mean, all the aluminum, it was insane. But the video shows the cops being very strong-handed with him. Okay, very brutal. Now, I don't believe that all the police were like that that day. I believe that just like any goon leader, he will have his goon squad, Bison, and the police chief. Everybody, there's a lot of talk of the police chief being a goon. Okay, not my words. This is brought up by other police, people that retired as soon as he was hired, people that complained about him. So I believe that he had his own little crew within the police force to be heavy-handed with people. Like I said, the police chief, the fire chief, the mayor, the governor, and Dyer, everybody has a stake in this claim, whatever it is. I've been saying that for the longest. So it's not surprising that he's hearing about reports about police misconduct. But with that being said, the next clip I'm going to show you, okay, it just shows more contradiction and lies about the Maui cleanup. Okay, so I'm going to play the clip just so you guys can see, and like I said, I'll leave a link to that in my description, but here we go.
Okay, here we are at Oluwalu, and just want to make it pretty clear to people that the burritos that they were talking about, this is what's happening to their burrito.
Okay, if nobody understands what he's talking about, it was when the mayor and the powers that be was saying about the cleanup, how they were going to wrap up all the debris almost like a burrito, where they're going to be able to bury all that, and then at a later time when they find a permanent site, they were going to be able to scoop it back up. But I said this from the beginning, that was going to be BS. Okay, there's no way they were going to be able to do that and then cover it all up just to dig it back up. This is the permanent place. So what he's showing is how these so-called burritos, how they're breaking them and mixing all the debris with the soil that's in that spot, which means that all the water runoff that people have been complaining about, because now there's new footage out there of the water runoff because it's been raining and stuff, how it's soaking in. And this now, in my opinion, and this is again why I don't understand why the government is not involved, this is a safety to the ecosystem. Okay, this is affecting the ecosystem now. So watch the clip and you'll see what I'm talking about.
The concrete, all this material, is being completely mixed
Look
with
at that.
other material.
Look at this. Look at this.
So what does that mean is going to happen?
Look at
It
the
means
way-
you're going to take 400,000 tons of ash, and now you're going to turn
Unreal.
it into probably at least 800,000 tons of
Look at this.
toxic cinder and soil that you've mixed it in with. Now it's going to...
And they know it's bad because look at him dressed up in a hazmat suit. Okay, and he's not even near it. Okay. Now, if it was a windy day, we'd see this stuff blowing in the wind. Obviously, it's not. Maybe it is, but I don't think it is because you would also see his suit blowing in the wind. But look at the way it's breaking up. And that was not what was supposed to happen. So once again, the mayor and them are lying, saying that how they were going to contain all this until they can find a permanent site. The mayor needs to be arrested. The governor needs to be arrested. And anybody else that's involved for what they're doing right now. You know, where are the Greenpeace activists? Where are the climate activists? Where are the environmental activists? Where are you? How come you're not on the island? Let's continue.
Get water in it, it's going to soak together. It's going to completely cross-contaminate everything. You have this leachate pond that it's dripping into. You can still see that the hose, as soon as the rain hits, it will automatically go into the lower one. And then they're draining it straight into the ground. They're telling us they're testing it, but how are they getting the tests back in a few hours? Show us the results. You've already been told that it's temporary. This proves beyond a shadow of the doubt that this is not temporary. It means you're taking 400,000 tons of material that was 40,000 truckloads that you didn't want to drive, but now you're turning it into 80,000 truckloads at minimal.
Unbelievable. Look at the way they're spreading this in the dirt. You know, it baffles my, oh man, it just baffles my mind the way these people are doing this in broad daylight, as if in this day and age of technology, nobody's going to be out there filming this. And it could only be one thing. Again, they don't care. They're going to say what they want to say, and that's it, and they're still going to do what they want. But let's continue.
Because all the other material is now going to be cross-contaminated with it. This is ridiculous. These are the facts.
Okay, again, I'll leave a link in my description to this clip. You know, not only, okay, are they contaminating the dirt with this, they are taking human remains in the process. They are basically taking human remains, and by their own words, by their own admission, knowing that a lot of that in the burn area, underneath all that rubble and ash, that they know that there were human remains, because there was nothing else there. I hate to say it like that after the fire, but ashes. So they are taking all that and mixing that. They're basically making a giant graveyard, man, just to let it all wash out into underneath the ground, into the ocean, underneath the island. This is disgusting. This is horrible. And the government needs to step in, and shame on every single politician, front, left, right, center, whatever you, I don't care what side you are, for not sounding the alarm on this. If I had to guess, people, this is just my opinion, this is a giant major government cover up and op. I'm sorry I said it, that's my opinion. Because for the life of me, I cannot understand why this is happening and nobody's getting involved to stop it. But the next clip, the last one I'm going to show you, it's only 30 seconds. Please watch it. I want to point something out, something that's been on my mind for months now since this fire started. Let's continue. This clip is only 30, it's 6 minutes long, but I'm only going to show 30 seconds. I'm going to leave a link in my description. This is from Hawaii real estate all over again. Forgive me, I had a brain freeze. But I'm going to point something out real quick. So, play the video. I'm going to mute it. Okay, just so nobody has to hear that siren. So we all know this is the way the fire was going. Okay, the way the wind is blowing left, you know, from one side to the next. I mean, certain things are on fire, certain things are not. That car's on fire, nothing else is not. We're not going to get into that, okay? Horrible to watch all this. But now, I'm going to take it off mute. Now pay attention to this noise.
And this is how it starts. One little spark flies to an area.
Okay, did anybody catch that? I'm going to rewind it again. And I want people to listen as he pans the camera towards the tree to show whatever's on the ground sparking. Listen to it. It almost sounds as if you take some fireworks, turn it on, and they just sparkle up. It almost sounds as some sort of incendiary. Okay? Now, some people may say, oh, well, that was because the wind was blowing on it. Yeah, but it just sounds too much as if something was there, something sulfuric or whatever it is, that when you turn it on, it just makes that spark, that heavy sparkling sound. So I'm going to rewind it a bit, like I said, and just pay attention. Listen, I know there's a lot of wind, but you can hear it as he pans to it. Here we go.
And this is how it starts.
Do you hear that buzzing sound? What is here besides grass and dirt that even if the wind's blowing it, that it'll make that sound? It almost sounds like an incendiary, as if something is burning up. Not a spark, not a piece of amber or something. No. If you took whatever chemical incendiary that you turn on, like sulfur or something like that, and you hear that sound when you spark it.
One little spark flies,
and then it dies out.
It goes up like that.
So I'm just going to leave it there. I'll leave a link in the description so you guys can watch the whole thing. But this was bothering me for months. I just couldn't find the clip. I kept looking, and finally Hawaii Real Estate put this out. And thank God he put that part, because I wanted to touch on that, but I could not find the video. And if I did, I can't remember if I put it on one of my reaction videos, and I just couldn't make heads or tails on which file I had it in. But that doesn't sound right. Okay? It just doesn't sound right to me. And a lot of people have been saying that there was some fires that started there were suspect. That made no sense how they started. Okay? A lot of people have come out and said it was almost as if somebody put something down and in some way, shape, or form found a way to ignite it, to make it look like it was part of this big raging fire. People leave your comments, but I don't want to hear that, oh, you're a conspiracy theorist. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. Okay? A lot of people are saying it. I'm not the only one. I mean, there's no such thing as a mental conspiracy where we can read each other's minds. No. It's you open your eyes, you pay attention, you look at the facts, and you say, wait a minute. If it doesn't make sense, it's because it's bad. It's wrong. Okay? Something is wrong. And this whole thing, never mind that the fire started on August 8th. Because now it's saying that the day before, they knew of this threat. So since August 7th till now, all of it is suspect. And people need to be arrested. But that's what I got for you. Don't forget to comment, like, share, subscribe, pass it around. Also, if you want to help support the channel, there's a link in my description to my Cash App and PayPal, and the link to my merchandise store. Only got one shirt, like I said, but the new ones will be coming once I get the designs, get all the bugs out with the artists that I'm working with, and hopefully I'll get some more designs up on the website. So remember, people, we can't let this die out. Okay, there's a lot more coming out, and for the sake of the missing children and the other adults that are still missing, because I, for one, do not believe that the final count was what they say, 99 or 89 or whatever the case was, because there's no telling anymore. They've been lying too much. So it's not to be believed, in my opinion. And no, it's not about disinformation, misinformation. No, it's just that if they keep lying and they don't want to answer questions, how can anybody in their right mind say, okay, you know what, I still believe you? No, sorry, that's not how it goes. So remember, keep praying for the people in Lahaina. They need it, okay? Because this is not over by a long shot. But keep praying for the people in Lahaina. And remember, stay vigilant, keep praying, and keep praying for each other. Peace.